Episode 482.
Looks like Blue Brook Guild really is running out of people.
Yi Shu, for his part, had been seriously studying the list of these high-level players all along. This identity of his would likely only be useful when dealing with Battle Mage players. He was well aware of this himself. If this had been a few years earlier, he might have been the idol of the entire nation. But in recent years, Glory has continued to develop, with top-tier professional players emerging one after another. It's truly an era of dazzling stardom. In comparison, its influence, in terms of reach, has actually diminished from what it once was. If he broadened the search, finding people this way wouldn't be difficult. But the problem is, Yi Shu needs players who are at least level 40 in order to challenge the Thousand Wave Lake dungeon record for levels 40 to 43. This is the main battleground for the major guilds right now. Shen Guo, standing nearby, asked,
Not a single one left.
Even if we could poach the players, we wouldn't get their high-level characters. What we need right now are high-level characters. The people behind them are secondary.
What about the others?
Yeah, that's the only one.
Yi Shu tapped on a character positioned further down the list, somewhere in the back half of the top 100 on the level rankings. This character's name is Monday Morning Quarterback, and his class is Launcher. He's a member of the Misty Rain Guild.
A launcher?
Seeing the class, Chen Guo immediately understood Ye Shu's intention. She had watched the entire process, witnessing Yi Shu's recruitment tactics firsthand. Far from finding this tactic shameless, Chen Guo thought it was downright awesome. Given her temperament, she'd just shout to the world, "I'm Yi Chu. If you like me, follow me," and be done with it.
That's up to Mu Cheng. But
Yi Shu hesitated for a moment.
Hemph, she definitely doesn't have your thick skin.
let her figure it out on her own.
Yi Shu sent a message to Su Mu Cheng's character, Windcomb Smoke, and explained the situation to her in a few words.
Let me take a look.
Su Mu Cheng's reply was simple, but her actions were even more efficient than Yi Shu's. She sent a message back in just a few minutes.
All set.
Yi Shu clicked on the level ranking list again. The guild affiliation column for Ma Hupao was now blank, just like Qian Cheng's, who wasn't far above him. He'd clearly left the guild as well.
So, what did you tell him?
Nothing much. Just added him as a friend, then said the Happy Guild is recruiting, that Yi Chu and Su Mu Cheng are here, and asked if he was interested.
Adding them as friends wasn't a difficult task for any of these characters. Lord Grimm's fame was certainly the greatest, but his teammates were hardly unknown figures themselves.
And then?
Of course he was shocked. So I told him, actually I'm Su Mu Cheng.
And he just believed you?
Of course not. So I gave him a number. I said, if you don't believe me, call this number and ask.
Whose number did you give him?
Huang Shaotian's. He loves to talk, so of course we should give him this opportunity.
Yi Shu broke out in a cold sweat. After all, a phone number is private information. For a top pro like Huang Shaotian, just casually leaking it would be a bit much.
Just kidding. I had a video call with him, so it's all good.
Oh.
Yi Shu had a sudden realization. He hadn't considered that method, because for him it was useless. No one would recognize him, and a video wouldn't help either. Su Mu Cheng was a different story. Her exposure was in a league of its own.
Alright, in 5 days we'll have a full first-string team. We can use this time to get our teamwork in sync.
Is this team composition really okay?
Yeah, it's a problem. But it's still better than not having enough people.
Yi Shu was helpless. The party he'd assembled had 2 battle mages and 2 launchers. It was a monotonous mess. Over at Blue River's Blue Brook Guild, he glanced at the level rankings again and immediately spotted another player, just like Thousand City, whose guild affiliation was now blank. The name was Monday Morning Quarterback. He knew right then that Yi Shu had pulled it off again. Blue River had actually noticed this guy too, and had guessed he was Yi Shu's next target. Now, seeing this, it was confirmed. Using Su Mu Cheng's fame, he'd pulled in another launcher. With that the Happy Guild really had put together a high-level dungeon team. Just thinking about that incredible method of controlling dungeon records purely through studying strategies, Blue River felt the future of the major guilds on the 10th server had grown utterly bleak. What methods will the guilds use to fight back? Blue River pondered to himself. But he had completely forgotten that, as the leader of Blue Brook Guild on the 10th server, this was precisely the kind of problem he should be tackling head-on, not just idly speculating about others like some bystander. At first, the other guilds didn't pay as much attention to the leveling leaderboard as Blue River did, but eventually someone noticed that two characters no longer had a guild. At first, none of the major guilds thought too deeply about it. When they saw high-level players without a guild, the first thing that came to the leaders' minds was to quickly recruit them for their own. So, Thousand City and Monday Morning Quarterback were both bombarded with enthusiastic invitations from all the major guilds in the server. Only after receiving their replies did the truth hit every guild like a thunderbolt. These two high-level players were also going to join the Happy Guild. Just as Blue River had initially thought, none of the guild leaders believed that players of this level could be poached by the Happy Guild either. According to the intel from the characters who infiltrated the Happy Guild, they clearly lacked high-level characters and couldn't compete for dungeon records in the level 40 to 43,000 Wave Lake, and this, one could say, was a direct consequence of Lord Grimm's earlier exploits in Sin City. If it weren't for his little stunt, there's no way a frontline team this far ahead of the rest of the players would exist right now. So it seems the Happy Guild is now reaping what it sowed, hoist by its own petard. The major guilds had been celebrating this turn of events, but now they were hit with the unsettling news that two top-tier players had been swayed by the Happy Guild.
What the hell is Blue Brook Guild even doing? And what the hell is Misty Rain good for?
The guild that let two high-level players slip away was collectively looked down upon. Most of them, of course, had no idea about Yi Shu's poaching tactics. They were just lucky they hadn't been targeted.
In 5 days, Lord Grimm will be leading a team to take the dungeon record.
The top brass of the major guilds were all discussing this very issue.
5 days. Can we pull ahead by another level?
Even if you pull ahead, it won't be by much. Lord Grimm's team has never needed to be at the dungeon's max level to take the record. Unless you can pull ahead by an entire dungeon tier, a level or two won't make any real difference.
Everyone fell silent. No one had a solution. So the leaders of the major guilds formed another discussion group, ready to tackle this problem together.
How could Blue Brook Pavilion and Misty Rain let a character of that caliber just slip away?
The question was the first to be raised in the discussion group.
That's a terrifying answer. Are you all sure you want to know?
The one sending the message was none other than Blue River, who looked utterly exasperated.